What's going on, keepers? I'm Kane and this is Noodle. And today we're going to be setting up and aquascaping one of our recently picked up vintage 10-gallon aquariums. Yes, I'm so excited. I've been dying to get an aquarium again. It's been killing me. If you've been sticking around with the channel long enough, then you know we actually started with aquariums. We didn't start with reptiles. We didn't get any reptiles until about a year after, So at least a year on YouTube after keeping reptiles, but I actually started keeping aquariums before I even got on YouTube. So we decided to sell all the aquariums before we moved. It ended up taking longer to move than we thought we were going to, so we haven't had any in a while. And I am so ready, and I think that you're really going to enjoy this. So stick around and see how it turns out. Alright, we're super excited. I was pumped to get these aquariums and I made no delay in getting one of them set up. So for starters here's some of our stuff that we've got. We went to an aquatic fish swap market today and we picked up, as far as plants, everything except for these two bags. We went and got these two from our local fish store because we needed some crypts. But all the rest of these plants here and these fish came from the fish swap. So for starters, I've got some organic topsoil that I'm going to put on the bottom for a nutrient layer. Some people advise this method, some people advise that you don't do this method, because basically you're going to be putting a lot of nutrients in the bottom of your tank. Make sure that it's organic. You don't want anything with like fertilizers or manure or anything like that in it. You could probably go like a year to 2 years on just the soil for nutrients. I guess it all depends on how many plants you got and if you're running CO2, so how much nutrients they're eating up, and blah blah blah. I'd say that's pretty good right there. Just a good little ramped up space in the back. Alright, so next, black diamond blasting sand. You can get this from like your local hardware stores. Now this has been used in previous aquariums. As you can see, it's full of like snail shells and rocks and stuff, but it's still just perfectly fine to use. So I'll probably speed through this part, but I'm just gonna dip some of this out and stick through it. Alright, I think that's pretty good. I'd say that's a pretty decent substrate layer. You can kind of see how we've got it ramping up right there. I want one big main piece in here. So, whenever you're doing these, you just kind of play around with it and see what you like. One thing I'd advise is just keep placing around, but when you're setting up your pieces, try to make it so that nothing is touching the glass anywhere. You want it to where you can actually get in there with a scraper or something and clean that glass. Because inevitably, if not, you'll pick a certain way and there'll be kind of a buildup in one area and you won't be able to get to it with a scraper and it'll just always be an eyesore. I think I'm kind of liking that right there. That kind of, yeah, see, we're going to be mostly looking at this tank from this side. So we get a little bit sticking out here, which is kind of cool. Some people like that. I don't always do that. I'm not always a big fan of that, but I still think it's pretty cool to have it sticking up out of the tank. This gives us a kind of a big open area right here so the fish can hide in there and feel secure, but we can also watch them. Not that that's really going to be a thing with these fish, but it's still pretty cool. And I got this piece right here. I don't know if I want to use this maybe I don't. Maybe I just want to stick with this one piece here. Kind of seems like a lot of open space over here. So I was kind of thinking maybe we could add in one more piece on this side. We'll play around with it and see what we like. The good thing is you can always take it back out later if you don't like it. And you can always move it around. So I've got these funky stones right here. I'm not sure what the official name is for them. They are an Aquascaping style stone. I got all but one of them with a previous tank I bought and never used them. But I always thought they looked pretty cool. So I thought, you know, today maybe this would be a cool tank to put these in. So really, I don't put a lot of rhyme or reason into my placements. I kind of just start putting stuff in there and seeing what it looks like, and then I can move stuff around later. Just get some things in there, get some things to see, and then you can adjust it as you go. I think that's pretty good. One good thing is when you're doing your hardscape, try not to stress it too much, because if you overthink it, you just get stressed out and you think it don't look right. But when you start putting plants in, it kind of just blends everything together. So just get something, keep moving around. As you can see, I just kept kind of twisting the rocks and seeing, and I was coming over here and kind of checking what it's going to look like from the side, because again, we're going to be going for that kind of side view here. I think I kind of like that. So I kind of like to use, I'm not going to say it's the MD method, because maybe other people had used it before him in aquascaping, but I'm more familiar with it from watching his channel over the years, where you take your bigger rocks and then you kind of put some medium rocks around it, and then you spread some small rocks around that, and that kind of blends it all together. So I've got some medium rocks here, not too much thought into it. I actually sifted these out of the sand, but I think they'll kind of fit in pretty good. And I guess it is good to point out that I don't actually have the light hooked up to this right now, so it might be making it a little darker on camera, but we will be obviously putting a light on this tank. Just haven't got to that part yet. We've got kind of these little aquascape, supernatural little rocks. And you know, we'll just kind of spread some of those around. Oh yeah, yeah, that looks good. It kind of breaks it up. My dog doesn't try to eat them. Go on, it's not food.
Missile.
My dog literally tries to eat everything. I was going to cut this whole bag open, but I'm going to make a mess if I don't. So, you know, not too much thought here. We're just kind of blending them in. Kind of dust some of them back down in the substrate here and there. Oh yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's starting to do a little better. I like it kind of thicker right here, like against the wood. Kind of like it branches out of that. And inevitably some of this will get washed up and, you know, knocked around. It's not going to be that important. That's why you don't stress about trying to get exact. Sorry, Missile. Oh yeah, see, I like that. That's already, just that little bit of stone right there started blending everything together. You know, it gives it that kind of riverbed look. So that's a good little pro tip. I'm sure you already know if you're watching me aquascape. I'm guessing you've watched plenty of other people aquascape. Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty good. I don't want to get too thick, but we'll just put a little more right along the edges, just so we know that Alright.
Missile, no.
So that does that. So I did test this wood before we put it in. I put it in my sink, and it did sink. It didn't float. But just as a precaution, we are going to take this out of the way and put a little bit of aquarium safe super glue on a couple points in the rocks just to lock it in. It doesn't hurt, you know, if this thing decides it wants to float, or I kind of knock it over when I'm putting stuff in there or whatever. I think what I want to do is I want to put just a little water in here just to wet the substrate, and then we'll start doing some planting. So at this time we got a little bit of water in here to make it easier on us to plant, but it's getting kind of darker and harder to see, so I think we're going to go ahead and put our light on. So I've got this light here, and the brackets that I have, I would have had to mount it like this, which would have looked corny. And even if I had the right brackets, it would have been hard to mount it this way. So what I was thinking is, since it's going to be right here, I can take some Velcro squares and I can mount this right above the cabinet so you don't even see the light. So I think that's what we're going to do. I think that'll be pretty cool. Alright, that worked out pretty good. Now we'll do some cord management later. That's not the main concern right now. Yeah, I'm totally happy with that. That lights it up nice. And then as you're standing up eye level, you can't even see the light up underneath the cabinet. So pretty sweet, pretty sweet. As you can see, if you come over here, we did put in a little Aquarium Co-op nano filter and a little nano heater. And we've got a little nano air pump here. We're trying to keep everything as small as possible in this tank. I could go just no filter, but hey, yeah. But I want to use the filter, especially this being a new tank. I think it'll be beneficial, and I just like getting the air in there. And see, now where we've got it on this side, that kind of hides it from our normal daily view. So that worked out perfect. All right, we got you over here so you can kind of check out what's going on. So we're going to start it out with some Nubius. All the plants, except for, like I said, except for these two, all these plants I got at the swap today for $34. $34. If you don't have a local aquarium club, then I'm sorry. But if you do have a local aquarium club, man, go check them out. That's this is they've got an annual swap. This is the club, the ETAA. If you're a long-time follower of the channel, then you know that I was one of the founding members that helped start the club. And then I stepped down as one of the board members, and now I haven't been going for quite a while, to be honest, but now I'm going to start going again now that I'm not an imposter and I'm actually keeping tanks. Oh my gosh, all this Anubias right here for $10 for those 2 bags. Man, what a deal. So the cool thing about Anubias, you can glue Anubias in. I wonder, but you can also just kind of shove it in places. You don't have to glue it, because eventually its roots will take hold on its own. You know, be careful not to break it. This, I'm going to try. I don't know. We've got enough Nubius that I feel brave enough to give it a go. I want to see if this will convert and grow above water. That would just be awesome. To have something growing up out of this log. sure you enjoyed watching me fight around with that. I think we've got all that wedged in pretty good. We've got our 2 little ones here. Those look sweet. This one looks sweet. These 2 are kind of wild. There are a lot of roots, but you know what? We're still going to use them. So let me dry up some area here and then we'll come back again. So next up we got this water wisteria. I'm thinking I want this back here in this corner. And I'm just going to try to plant this one by hand. I'm probably going to get some of that dirt up in the water column, but that's alright. Because more than likely we're going to fill this tank up and then do a water change before we introduce any fish into it. And we got the second little one right here. I'm just going to put it right in there beside it. Kind of finish filling in that pocket. Next up, we've got some jungle valve. Now, a lot of these plants are kind of tall growing plants for a 10-gallon tank, but that was what was available at the swap, and it's going to fill up the tank real nice and quick for us and make it look well established. So we can always, you know, trim these and come back later. And I would rather have more than less, because that is going to help out the water quality tremendously. These right here, I'm thinking I want to plant these in the back corner around this filter. Next up here, we've got it's a Pogo Octopus. I forget the whole name, but if you're a plant person, then you know what that is. All right. Next up, we got Hydropoly. Once again, I'm not 100% sure on the scientific name or the full name of that one, but I asked one of my buddies about it, and he said that it was one of his favorite plants and that it wasn't hard to grow. So I said, let me get one of those. Next up, we'll put our crypts in. We had a flyer. Next up, we got a different type of crypt. Alright, so the last one we kind of spread those out and made like a little crypt garden. But these ones, I think I just want to keep them in one little clump. I think that's going to look better. Put one there. Put one over here. I'm going to try to pull this around and put these in the back. Alright, honestly, I think that's all that we're going to be able to fit in here. I think I got a little bit overzealous. Hopefully some of that stuff in the back doesn't get choked out and just die off. But, I mean, if it does, you know. Oh well. That's how you learn. So one thing's for sure, we're not slacking on the plants in this one. We got plenty of plants, and I think I'm going to call it right there. So we're going to fill this up, probably drain it back down again, and then fill it up again and add in our live bacteria and our fish. We've got it all filled up. We've got some of the stuff filtered out of it. I see we've been gifted some duckweed. You're almost guaranteed pest snails and duckweed no matter what, but that's all right. We don't mind them. You can kind of see it's like the peninsula look I'm going for here, where all the thick is to the back and it kind of tapers down to the front, so it's open. You got a viewing area. I'm hoping that I didn't get out of hand in the back and all that just gets choked out, since the light is directly above that and it's got that soil below it to feed it. I'm hoping between the two of those that stuff can just bush out around that log and we can just keep it trimmed and it'll be like a little forest back there. We'll see. Maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. But you can definitely see what I was going for here. Now, for the favorite part, our inhabitants. So, if you want to come get a look here while they're still in the cup, because they're probably going to hide, we have 5 little trout goodies. And so we're super excited to add those in. This is a fish that I've always wanted to keep. We're going to take some turbo start. This right here is enough to do 50 gallons. We'll just go a little bit over, you know, the recommended amount. We're not going to put the whole thing in there, but I'm not going to bother measuring it. We'll just put, you know, probably a good like half of it. So 25 gallons worth in the 10 gallon. You can go over with this stuff, it's no big deal. And what I'll do is I'll save the rest of this, and next time when I do a water change, I'll just put the rest of this in there. And that'll kick that cycle in a little more. So we're gonna check back with you here in a few days when all this is cleared up and all the plants are kind of unbunched and everything looks a little nicer, and let you see what it looks like. All right, it's been about 5 days since we set up the tank, and we can just show you here how it's looking. It's actually doing great. The plants are turning out great. Everything's staying alive. I still don't know if this is something that needs to convert. I think it is, honestly. It's I think it was above water growth and it's converting. I'm not for sure. Some of the only things I did change is I put an extra light up above the tank, and I put some Rotala over here on this side. But look how these plants have already started growing up out of the water in 5 days. I also trimmed back this Vallisneria. But yeah, everything's looking great. Water's looking great. Fish has been doing good. But we did save one more surprise until the end. But what we have here is 2 Borneo sucker loaches, and we ordered 6 pygmy corridoras, but it looks like only 4 of them made it. But it was through Aquahuna, and we didn't get the overnight shipping. So that's partially on us, but I know that they do a live guarantee, so we'll hit them up and see. I mean, two pygmy corridoras, they're like $6 a piece. It's 12 bucks. I'm really not honestly worried about it, but nonetheless. So we're gonna have the trout gidiots, the Borneo sucker loaches, and the pygmy corridoras. So let's get those in there, and then we'll get everything wrapped up. All right, I know you should quarantine. There's one of the pygmy corries. Right there goes one of the Borneo sucker loaches. Right there goes another one. And oh, right there in the middle goes another one of the pygmy corries. So yeah, 4 out of the 6 made it. Yeah, this tank is just turning out really nice. I'm super happy with it. Like I said, I know you're supposed to quarantine, but this is the only tank I currently have set up, and it's a new tank with new fish in it, so I'm just gonna take my chances on it. Yeah, that's her all set up and ready to go. Okay, what do you think about that one? Man, I'm excited. Finally got an aquarium again. It's been way too long. I feel like all my aquarium friends have like, Cage just give up on aquariums. He doesn't care about them anymore. All he cares about is reptiles. Not true. Now, I don't know if I'm ever gonna get back to like having 29 tanks or anything like that, like we did back in the day. But I do want to get some more tanks set up. You know, I think I would like to be around like the 5 range. We'll see. You know how that goes. Multi-tank syndrome. You end up getting more than you plan for. But nonetheless, I would like to have less than what I used to have. And I would rather have a good handful of well set up, well taken care of tanks that I really enjoy looking into, rather than just having a ton that I'm struggling to keep up with. But I just can't live without them. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I want to have an aquarium until the day I die. At least one. But I'm not going to spill the beans on it completely. But there is an aquarium that I've yet to show on video, and it's pretty sizable, that I picked up a while back, and it's in storage right now. I picked it up before we moved, and I couldn't pass up on the deal, so I got it and I put it in storage. But if you want to see that, you're gonna have to just stick around and watch for future videos. It's gonna be a little while, but it's coming around, and that one is gonna be a doozy. But anyway, there's a little sneak peek for you to keep you interested, and just know there is gonna be some more aquariums coming up. Maybe not in the next like month or so, but they definitely are, and I'm excited for it. So anyway, with all the rambling done, as always, I appreciate y'all watching, and remember, your hobby can bring you joy, but only Jesus can bring you peace. Hope to see y'all in the next one.